You're listening to the Bombad Generals.
General? Oh.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Bombad Generals. It's Seth, and I'm here with Matt. And as you can see, we have audio and video going on today. So, welcome.
If you're on the podcast only, just listening, you will not be able to see that. So you can continue to just imagine us in your mind's eye however you want to.
Yes.
And I need to start with a confession for this episode. We were closer than ever to getting Todd on the cast. And it is, for once, it's not Todd's fault. I mean, usually it's extenuating circumstances, if we're being honest. But it wasn't Todd, it was me this time. I was lining things up. He said, yeah, I'll have some time this week to jump on. And then I didn't tell him about the podcast recording. I didn't think even to tell him about the podcast recording time until 5-10 minutes before the episode. And I thought, that's too short notice. So this one's on me.
Shame
Todd
on
is
you,
ready to go post-Worlds, psyched up about Legion, wanting to get back on the podcast. So
The crowd was ready for Todd. Like, the crowd was ready.
Look out for him in our in our episode in a couple
future.
Weeks. Yeah,
He will be here. We promise.
guaranteed, for sure. Which sucks. We have a lot to talk about this episode.
Yeah, we actually do. There's a lot happening. Of course, Matt and I, we both went to Worlds. You can listen to our Worlds recap that was released last Monday. Encourage you just to listen to that. It was a great chat with us two and Dash. But, since Worlds, I don't think either of us have even touched a miniature or played a game, have we?
I've touched a lot of miniatures. Okay. Yeah, but I have not played a game of Legion. I've thought a little bit about Legion, but I've not played a game yet. So our regular segment, what have you been playing, there's nothing going on there.
Nothing.
It's
We're
empty.
not playing anything right now. Yeah, it's the same thing that we were playing for Worlds.
Because we did not go super far in Worlds, it meant that when Sunday lunchtime rolled around, we had nothing better to do than to head upstairs at Adepticon to actually sit in live for the AMG panel. Yes. So I'm sure a lot of people have seen the pictures coming out of that and some of the little spoilers that we got. But Seth was right there taking pictures too.
I was.
And we wanted to leave that out of the Worlds recap podcast because we want to keep that, about Worlds and not about upcoming stuff. But today I think is a good opportunity. We've had some time to kind of sit and marinate and really think about the cards and the potential there. So let's dive into it, I think. And maybe even, I don't want to put too much on you, Seth, but use this visual medium to pull up cards we want to talk about.
Yeah, so let's just start off with what they started off with first was Ahsoka Tano. Of course, she's already been announced, but here's her card visually. This is all my photos, so
announced and coming out May, I think 19th. So not too long. We should get a full preview article probably within a couple weeks. They've been pretty good about coming out a month before.
Yes, and I know we haven't talked about Cody yet, but don't worry, we do have an episode coming up about Cody. Yeah. So that is planned. And so Ahsoka,
we are waiting to get good game time in really practicing Cody.
We want to
neither of us were going to play him before Worlds because he's A, wasn't out, and B, spoiler alert, neither of us are that high on him. But Seth is locked in to play Cody in the ladder eliminations league. So it is much too late. So we'll get at least some experience with him. And same with Ahsoka. We'll have a more episode about Ahsoka, but let's dive in. Yeah, go for it. I'll stop interrupting you.
So her point value is 165. She's got 2 force slots, and she's got 2 training upgrades. Her health is 3. Her health is 6. Her courage is 3. She surges to crit, rolls red defense dice. Her weapon is 2 red, 2 black, 2 white. So double rainbow, impact 2, pierce 2. It's the same as Obi-Wan. Her keywords are jump 2, charge, defend 1, deflect, immune to pierce, and Jarkai mastery, which is a new mastery that we just saw on Asajj Ventress.
So that's basically your dodges can be like marksman. They can improve die results. So I think for me, the big thing that jumped out is a few things that she doesn't have. So she doesn't have Master of the Force.
Yep.
Which is pretty big because Asajj didn't have it, but other than that, really, it's Commander Luke and it's Maul. And Maul at least gets 3 actions, and Commander Luke sucks. So,
Yes.
Jedi with no Master of the Force, it's a tricky spot, especially 165. Like, that's affordable.
Yeah.
But it's not like 155 like the Asajj's and Anakin's of the world. So
Yes.
maybe she has a permanent card like Ahsoka where she gets something like that.
Or maybe like a free recover like Ahsoka
I'm sure
has.
she'll probably have a free recover card.
Yeah.
So, and when we get to talking about, maybe pairings and lists, there's definitely things I'm thinking about when it comes to the recover.
Yeah.
There's no command slot. As her role as Fulcrum, we would think that maybe she would have a command slot, either for Vigilance or for Allies of Convenience to pair up with Din. None of that. Double Force, double training, though, is pretty good. Like, that means you get push. You can maybe get burst of speed or reflexes, something like that. Trainings, you can get tenacity in there, seize into the fray, maybe defensive stance if you want to get extra dodge generation with her. There's lots of options. I think that's, as far as slots go, I'm pretty happy with the slots.
Yeah. I mean, I would have wanted a command slot, but I'm okay with the slots that she did get. Of course, that second Force slot is really just up in the air. Of course, you could run Force Push, but unsure how I'm going to run that second Force slot on
When
her.
I think it depends partly on the cards that we see and what her access to recovers is and what her support abilities are like too, right? If she gets something like that allows other people to spend her dodges in kind of a Yoda way, then
Force Reflexes, maybe.
Force Reflex makes a lot of sense. Even offensively, because of her mastery, Force Reflexes is pretty good. Of course, Burst of Speed, always really good to get in there. It's more expensive. I think it's kind of down to those two for me. Like, I don't really think Saber Throw is worth it because she just has charge.
Especially in the cover economy, like, it's just not.
Yeah. I don't think Mind Trick is all that great. And then there's, Force Lift, Hope. Like, those ones are just not... They're too situational.
Yeah.
So... Defend 1, though. That's really big. That's really good. That's very
I think
good for a
that kind
Jedi.
of makes her as a Force user with Jarkai. I feel like, of course, you need an order to get the dodge. But I think with Rebels, they do have... We'll talk about pairings later, of course, but like they do have ways to get a lot of orders on her. And the great thing is that she's not a mercenary unit, so there's no like she can get orders from just normal Rebel commanders as like a mercenary unit cannot. So that's very helpful.
I was gonna bring up literally the exact same thing because I think some recent hero releases for Rebels haven't quite fit too well in the roster when we think about Old Man Boba or Din. They're all right, but I think they have suffered from the fact that Rebel heroes can often be about giving each other orders.
Yes.
And those guys cannot receive orders from, your Cassians or your Lukes of the world who can't take something like Allies of Convenience. Yes. So the fact that she can get orders from them, that's really good. And defend, like, independent dodge works on Asajj because CIS can reverse sort so that she's the only thing in the bag. Rebels can't do that. Independent dodge would have been worthless on Ahsoka. You are going to put an order on her every single turn, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean...
Defend 1, you're going to get value.
If you're running a Jedi, you're normally putting an order on your Jedi at least every turn. And so... And then, of course, the next keyword you have deflect. We all know what deflect is. The only thing you can't spend, you don't surge to block on defense. But you can also always bring in like into the fray. There's some people like they say like, hey, it's actually not that big of a change, but some people like, man, like my Maul died.
People can be
just
wrong.
One slot, So it's all risk mitigation on that, and so you do have to bring some upgrades to help with that risk. But I mean, your standard deflect is on there, and of course, you have Jarkai, which great keyword.
Yeah, so let's talk about Jarkai, I think in relation to her lightsabers, because Double Rainbow, Impact 2, Pierce 2, as you said, it's basically Obi-Wan's lightsaber. It's a little bit better because she has full surge crit instead of Obi-Wan's critical 2. Yep. But Obi-Wan's lightsaber is pretty trash, if we're being honest. It's not a good lightsaber, and that's what she's got. Now, with both of those, you've got the training slots. You could pop into the tenacity on there, which I probably will. I think I have to see it played, but I'm wondering if she's gonna feel a lot better than someone like Obi-Wan because
yeah.
the mastery. If you're re-rolling whites with like an aim token, not that Jedi have aim tokens all that often, but they're pretty bad. I wonder if having, the reds and the blacks, which are very consistent, and then the inconsistent dice, you can just dodge to make them all hits. I think she'll probably feel more impactful offensively than Obi-Wan.
She can, yeah. Average, you're making your defense roll 4 dice. You're gonna average 4 hits. So having that average go to 5 with just a dodge, pretty helpful.
Just one dodge. That's
just one dodge.
Yeah. And then if you've got another dodge hanging around, that's 6. Like that's a full boat.
That's a full boat right there.
That you can rely on. And tenacity is not quite adding 1 hint because sometimes red attack dice do blank, but it probably is. And maybe that tenacity. Maybe I'm looking at building her with tenacity and into the fray just because I really don't like my force users getting punched to death.
I get that.
But maybe you can get by and say, hey, tenacity is going to make people think twice maybe about chip-shotting her for 1 damage when they're just going to give her tenacity. I think people still will, but it's a consideration, and maybe you turn that second training slot into defensive stance. I think those are kind of the 3 I'm looking at, plus seize the initiative. If you've got some other characters in the list, anything else you're looking at with Ahsoka as far as those training slots?
I can't really make a decision until I see the rest of her command cards.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Who knows? Maybe situational. If she has lots of ways to get dodges, that'll be good.
Maybe.
But I'm feeling so about Ahsoka.
Yeah, I like her price point. I think she has a great price point. And that's going to be really helpful in Rebels.
Souped up, she's coming in at 190. That's if you're taking, push, reflexes, tenacity into the fray, is how I've been building her. 190, that's a fine spot. You're saving about 30 points compared to Op Luke. So, will she bring... Is there good things to spend in Rebels with those extra 30 points? That's a question.
We'll see.
Will she be good enough that it's worth saving 30 points compared to Luke, or just are you going to upgrade to Op Luke every time, or are you going to run them together? I know I'm going to try that, but hard to judge her without her force, or without her command cards.
Yep.
But I think there is potential there that we're seeing. So we've probably spent enough time talking about Ahsoka, who we're going to talk about again in a month.
Yeah. Well, before we finish off, I want to kind of highlight a matchup that I think will do really well with Ahsoka.
Oh, yes.
And that is Cassian. I think Cassian is a great combo. Of course, I think Cassian's just a great combo with any hero in the Rebels right now, but especially with Ahsoka. One, with his 3-pip, giving her an order and giving her danger sense and giving her a free recover. And so that's really good when she does have Master of the Force. And her 2-pip for late game, for as much damage, just load her up on dodges for every wound that she has. And so that's great for defensive, and that's great offensively. And so that's like a really good command card. Of course, with his 1-pip, you have Crack Shot, but like you're mainly playing Crack Shot early game, so you may not need an order on Ahsoka, just like turn 1 or so. And so I think Cassian will be a really good asset for Ahsoka, and they can really build off of each other really well.
100%. Yeah, that is exactly the character I'm looking to pair her with these days. We'll see, because Ahsoka does have a 4th command card, which is like a team-up card with Sabine. So maybe they'll breathe new life into Sabine. Sabine's kind of struggling right now, just because her offense is pretty dang bad, but I really like Cassian for all the reasons you mentioned. Crackshot turn 1, Ahsoka doesn't really need the order, especially since the first operative you pull, you're probably going to K2 anyways. So then it's not until your second operative that you pull Ahsoka, and then she goes, and then she's probably just hiding anyways. So I really like that combo, and K2 can also just calculate odds on Ahsoka if you need to. Give her an aim and a dodge. Like it's flexible. You have a lot of token generation in that list. So 100% when I'm building, that's where I'm starting. Cassian, K2 Ahsoka.
It's a good start. And so, well, let's do we want to continue on to like the next part?
Sure. Yeah, next card. Let's go. Keep it rolling.
Let me pull it up. I think I can edit this out. Okay, we're gonna go.
If you can't.
We're going to go, the next release for the Rebels is the Ewoks.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff to talk through here.
My
goodness.
Happening. Oh my gosh. So we have
our
Wicket,
boy Wicket. Talk us through Wicket.
the command card. So he comes out 70 points. He is a mercenary unit. He's got 3 training slots, and that's all he has. He's a commander. 5 health, 2 courage, white defense dice, surge to crit. Oh my gosh, surge to block. He's got his melee is 2 red and a black with pierce 1, and then he's got a range 1 to 2 shot. His sling pierce 1, and it has primitive keyword, which we don't know what it is yet. We have theories, but and then
lots of theories. Yep.
Yeah. So you got independent for his keywords. You got independent dodge 1, low profile, nimble, gosh,
yeah,
relentless, scout 1, scouting party 2. So he doesn't have a gear upgrade, so you can't go scouting scout 2, scouting party 2. So it's a little bit of worse version of Rex's. But then you have sharpshooter 2. Yeah, still great. Sharpshooter 2, and then unconcerned, and then he is speed 2.
Unhindered.
Yeah, not unconcerned. Yeah, unhindered. Oh,
yeah, he's people. I think. Some people are losing their minds over Wicket. I don't think he's quite that good, right? He's still 5 white wounds.
Yes.
And yes, low profile with a nimble dodge and training slots to boot, for situational. Yes, that's very good in range. But at range, he's not really contributing a whole lot with one black die.
Yep.
You can fire support it with a Mark II, I guess, but it's not great. And once he closes to melee, low profile's doing nothing. He's just a dude with 5 wounds and a dodge, which can get punched down very quickly. So, and 70 points is good value, but it's not insane value for something like that.
He's not undercosted, nor is he overcosted.
Well, depends what else goes around him.
That's true.
One thing, so you mentioned he's a mercenary. All the Ewok stuff that we're going to be looking at is going to be a mercenary with I don't know what to call it, the Ewok affiliation.
Yes.
Though Wicket is a mercenary who can go in Rebels, unlike a character that we're going to see shortly, who is only available in battle forces, such as the Endor battle force. Wicket, you can play him in the Endor battle force for sure, but you can also just play him in normal Rebels as a mercenary. So that's something to consider when we're talking about list building. But am I too down on Wicket? I don't.
No, I think it's undecided yet. It's jury's up. You gotta wait for the core. I think that's the whole kind of premise about the Ewoks. Even when we start talking about command cards, you gotta wait till the core comes out. Just because I think the core will either make or break it. I could see this being an easily overpowered battle force that is gonna be a huge nuisance. Not in like a huge sense, like a Dark Trooper sense, but it's definitely going to be all right, it's going to be up, some matchups, maybe an uphill battle, but it all depends on the core unit.
Yeah, what we're going to see is that, I think we'll see this again and again as we go through these cards. There's a lot supporting the Ewok affiliated units.
There is.
The question is, what is the bulk of that army actually going to look like? Are we supporting things that are equivalent to some lame B1s or Rebel Troopers, or are they going to be something more formidable? Yeah, exactly. And so if they're great, scouting party, getting them in there, really awesome. Maybe Wicket as a little flanker who has tenacity and is just kind of going off to do his own thing. That might be fine, and 70 points is good value. But I think the commander. First, any more thoughts on Wicket before I do this sleek transition?
No, not I'm good.
No? Okay. Pretend I never said that then. The commander that really appeals to me on first glance is C-3PO from the previews. So while Seth pulls that up, he's 40 points. He can only go in the battle force. He has no rebel symbol. So that's probably for the best, because he would be the cheapest commander available to rebels if so. He's only 3 health. He does surge to block with white defense dice, 2 courage. He's a commander rank, by the way, we should note. He's got a few things. Let's just talk about the known keywords first. Compel, Ewok Trooper, and Infiltrate. infiltrate, like you're not aggressively moving him. Basically, it's, hey, I have a spot, maybe it's not quite in my deployment zone, maybe it's a little bit outside, where I can park C-3PO, and I'm not going to have to worry.
Like, but get him in hiding, just like...
Exactly.
Okay, you can't, like, one-shot him, like, with the air support or something. It's just, he's hidden.
Yeah, but he doesn't have to move, start of the game, he's hidden. Because you're going to want him in there to compel your Ewoks forward. Now, remember, this is Ewok affiliation, so if for whatever reason we get a trooper who's affiliated with the Ewoks but isn't an Ewok, the compel would still work on them. So we'll see if we get any of those. That's just kind of a disclaimer. So next up is something that's kind of new, but kind of something we've seen before, Divine Influence. So units at range 1 of him get Guardian 2. It does say within, actually, which is a little tight. It's not at range 1, so we'll see if that holds up in the RRG. Guardian 2, and they can cancel crits with Guardian. So basically, they all have permanent Protector.
Situational awareness, and Protector, and...
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's really good.
It's pretty good, because, again, he's only 3 health, so I don't see leaning on it. But, more so... Ewoks are probably going to have a lot of health, so if you need to burn a little bit of their health to keep 3PO alive, go for it.
You could.
Mm-hmm. We should note as well, he's got no upgrade slots, so you can't combo this with Esteemed Leader or anything to get, like, Guardian 3, luckily. Maybe that's why. But again, 40 points, who needs upgrade slots? Who needs weapons? He doesn't have weapons, he's just a golden idol sitting in a chair.
He has all the Ewoks doing the work for him, so that's all you need.
Right. So the most unique thing that comes with C-3PO is the a new keyword called Master Storyteller, which is choose up to X friendly Ewok units and at range 1, where X is the current round number. Each chosen unit gains 2 surge tokens. So round 1, he chooses a unit at range 1 of him, they get 2 surges. Round 3, he chooses 3 units, and each of those get 2 surges. And these aren't just trooper units. So if there happened to be, a Rebel ATST that existed, and we're actually seeing, we don't really have anything to talk about with it, but they did confirm we're getting a Chewbacca ATST, which is going to be presumably Battle Force only.
It is an
Ewok affiliation.
It is.
You don't have to use Master Storyteller on a trooper, so you could have C-3PO, and the ATST isn't really moving, so I think it's actually a great combo. Put 3PO somewhere, he can just babysit the ATST. Hey, here, take some surges, buddy, take some surges. It's a little clunky, if you want to go first with the ATST, you have to wait for C-3PO to go, but then you kind of have surge to hit, because we know the basic ATST doesn't have surge to hit. Maybe we'll get that with Chewbacca as the pilot, and this will all be, doesn't matter. But I think that's a really good use of it. And again, we'll have to see with Ewoks how valuable those surges are going to be. But that's a lot of really good supporting ability when you're talking about Compel and Master Storyteller. That's token efficiency and that's action efficiency. All for 40 points and fulfilling your commander minimum with only 40 points. So I'm really eyeing up 3PO for sure. Part of that too is he's been sitting on my shelf for a long time, and now I can kind of get him out again. But I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Now you got to put him like sitting down on like a wood throne, stick throne. Yeah, it's gonna be good. So that'll be fun. All right, well, continuing on. Well, this isn't a official release. That they don't. Oh, we're gonna go into the cards.
Yes,
continuing
the cards.
We have the cards.
Oh, the cards are nuts.
Gosh.
It's going to be a little hard to read, but do you want to go left to right or right to left?
Let's go left to right.
Okay, yes, I like that one.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. We have... Okay, this is the 1 pip. It is 2 trooper units.
Aerial assault, I think?
I think it's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yes,
they're dropping rocks on
assault.
Stormtroopers.
So, any 1 pip that gives out 2 orders, I think is a great 1 pip, whether it has any special things or not. And so this says you must nominate a Ewok affiliated commander as who's issuing orders. The weapons of Ewok trooper units that have a face-up order token gain suppressive and demoralize 1. Yes.
I think it's immobilize 1.
Immobilize, yes. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Immobilize 1.
Yeah.
gains suppressive and immobilize 1 this round.
Pause. Pause. The weapons of Ewok Trooper units with a face-up get suppressive and immobilized 1. The way I read this, and we'll see if they change it with an errata or a clarification, every weapon gets suppressive and immobilized 1. Which means if you have your regular gun plus a heavy weapon, you're shooting 2 weapons with immobilized 1, and you have immobilized 2. If you wound your target, they are stuck. Dead in the water, stuck.
Yep.
For the most part, if they are a speed 2 unit, they are not moving that round, which is very powerful.
Very good.
Ranged immobilize 2, or any, like, ranged immobilize just doesn't really exist for good reason. And we're getting it for a round here. So that's something to be weary of.
Now, just remember, suppressive does not stack, so it's just 2 suppression regardless of how many weapons are firing into it. Mm-hmm. And the second part of the command card says, this round, after a friendly Special Forces unit performs an attack against a unit with the face-up order token, shuffle that token back into its order pool.
So you get the pin down effect on a 1-pip.
So you can immobilize a unit.
Well, can we? Because the thing is, we don't know if there's any Ewok affiliated special forces yet.
This is true.
Right? If they're not Ewok affiliated, you're not going to be able to get a face-up order token on them with that affiliation to trigger the first part of the card.
Yes.
But if Ewok affiliated special forces exist, you will be able to immobilize them and kick their order back. I kind of see it as whatever happens, you're winning. Things are going well. Either you decide, hey, I'm going to go with this, the unit I ordered, which is an Ewok, and I'm going to shoot them, and then they're stuck in the open, so even though they might have a face-up, who cares? They're stuck in the open. Or if I need to, maybe Rebel Commandos. I'm sure Rebel Commandos will be available in the Battle Force, should still be a Special Forces. They can just go, again, maybe you have to fish them from the bag, so that's the tricky part, but they can just shoot an order off of someone, or at least threaten to do that. So a very strong 1-pip indeed.
Sounds good. And then we're going to the second 1-pip, which is log traps. And so this actually issues no units. And it says, this round, at the start of the activation phase, 1 Ewok Trooper unit that contains an Ewok Trapper miniature, so I'm guessing it's a heavy weapon upgrade, or personnel, may take an attack listed below. And it's a range 1 to 4, 2 red, 3 black, impact 4, pierce 1. Holy
yikes. Cow. Man, oh man. So the good thing is that it's not like what I would call a bombard card, where it's coming from the commander.
This is true.
So you can't put this on Wicket and use his sharpshooter 2 with this gun. Thankfully, because no cover, 2 red, 3 black, pierce 1 would be a lot, surge crit. You cannot, because you are doing it at the start of the activation phase, that can be really good because you do it before anything happens, even before Han with sorry about the mess gets to go. You are doing this attack. But that means that you don't get to take an aim action. You don't get to pass them surges with C-3PO. So where can this Ewok Trapper miniature go? Is it going to be on something that has native surge to hit? Is it going to be on something that has sharpshooter? My guess is probably no, but we don't know. But this could be really good into armor vehicle. So I almost see it as more of a meta call, this card, because as much as it might be like, Matt, what are you doing? You're not going to take a 1-pip with this attack profile in all situations. Well, if you're shooting into heavy cover, first of all, you have to make sure you have the Ewok Trapper miniature, which might not do a whole lot other than this. Maybe it's great anyways. But if you're shooting into heavy cover, 2 red, 3 black, if it has no surge, it's all right. You're maybe pushing 1 or 2 past cover, which is not nothing. But then I have no units with face-ups, so it depends. But if armor's a big part in the meta, you know, if Dark Troopers are hanging around, then this can just pop them. Cover? What cover? They don't have cover.
They don't have cover.
Yeah.
Screw those true cover. And so, well, continuing on, we got hiding in plain sight for their 2-pip. This issues 2 trooper units. You must nominate a Ewok commander. Units issued by an order this card gain inconspicuous this round.
Pretty good. And
That's all it says.
Ordering 2, again, Ewok trooper units. So if you have a couple that you really need to keep alive, maybe because they're down to just the leader and the heavy, or you're down to, or they're going to maybe complete an important objective.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Like, that's all very good.
That's pretty good.
Inconspicuous, that's what R2 has. That's if they have a suppression, people have to shoot other people. So if they already have a suppression when they start the round, then this effect is on immediately, again, before anything happens. My thinking here is, again, C-3PO works very well with this because compel in 2 ways. Rounds before, if you use compel, assuming, I'm sure Ewoks are probably going to be Courage 1. So they got shot, they had a suppression, you compel them forward, they take another suppression, they remove 1 at the end of the round. They have their suppression there for next round, boom, you get to play this card, and they're inconspicuous, they're not getting shot at. And then you can compel them again because now they're suppressed, so they can keep going forward and forward without being shot at in the middle of that. So I think he combos really well with that. I think there's a lot of tricks here. And again, depends how important can Ewok trooper units be. Because again, if it's just like, hey, I have a squad of B1s that can't get, or 2 squads of B1s that you can't target them if there's other eligible targets, it's okay. It has some really strong situations still. But if they're more powerful than that, this could get very good very quickly.
Yeah, I was thinking about combining this with Chewbacca's ATSD, kind of like the trick you do of like kind of stepping on R2 to get that suppression. And then like you could step on with the ATSD, your base is big enough to step on these 2 trooper units, give them both suppression, and then compel them forward. And so already you can't shoot them. And if your ATST's up front, if they have to shoot anyone, it has to be like the ATST, and so it's I think that may be a good combo as well on this.
Yeah, I think I'm usually against trying to give yourself suppression in almost all situations, but this could be one where it's pretty useful. Or it's just, straight up, hey, they shot this unit a few times last round, I need to get them to safety to save the points. They'll have suppression if they were shot at a few times, so that's really nice.
It is. All right, let's finish it out with the 3-pip. It says, for the tree. It says this, it's a 3-pip, 3 trooper units. You must nominate a Ewok commander. This round, at the beginning of the activation phase, units issued an order by this card may recover. So free recover. That's pretty always good. Great.
Yeah.
So
especially if they've got exhausting heavies or if they have a bunch of suppression built up from compel.
Yep. All the suppression you got from the 2-pip, take it off this 3-pip. And then this round, Ewok troopers with the face-up order token gain Dauntless and Relentless. It's really good.
That's pretty good. So Dauntless and Compel is kind of a non-bow in the sense of they do the same thing, just from different sources.
I'm thinking like this, you're probably out of range of C-3PO.
Exactly.
Compel, so.
If you're out of range of 3PO, or if you just don't have 3PO, this is good. If you do have 3PO, then maybe you're not getting as much value out of Dauntless, but you are getting a lot of value out of that Recover. That's all good, but Relentless on 3 trooper units.
Oh, gosh.
Getting Relentless.
Oh, my gosh.
Do you just slap this down round 1 and double move up and start hitting people? Maybe.
Maybe.
And then
just
pretty good.
Play the 2-pip to get him out? I don't know.
That could be a combo. Yeah, because this is a 3-pip, slow.
This is.
You go slow, you move up 3 Ewoks at the end of the round, shoot people, they're in front. The trick is you're going to have other things in range. If they're the things that are furthest forward, then you might not have other targets to pull away with inconspicuous. But this is a very good
go
card.
ham with your ATST or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Does it have to be It does have to be trooper units from the card, at least. So you can't give your ATST Relentless, thank goodness.
You cannot. You can give C-3PO Relentless, but he has no attack. So
he has no attack, so I don't know. And
no, don't
Wicket already has Relentless, so don't do any of that stuff. But as we said at the top, depending how good the bulk of this Ewok army is, this could be insane.
It could make or break this battle.
If they're good units, or just like baseline pretty average units, but you can give them all sorts of immobilize. If they have special forces, you can put orders back. If they surge, you can have that log trap attack. They've got inconspicuous if they need it. They've got relentless if they need it. They've got compel around, and they're getting fed surges. Like there's a lot of really good power-ups for Wookiees, I did it again, for Ewoks.
For Ewoks. To be fair, fun fact of Star Wars, they were actually supposed to be Wookiees back in the original filming, but they did not have the budget for the costumes of Wookiees, so they cut it in half and they made Ewoks. Fun fact for filming.
That is a really fun fact. I like that. Yeah. I do know the difference. I know that Ewoks are not baby Wookiees. My excuse will be I keep thinking about the Chewbacca card. I don't know.
There you go. And so
I'm going to have to buy an ATST. Yeah, there will be at least one. And we might have normal Chewbacca, honestly. We'll see. I wouldn't be surprised. And then you have Guardian keeping Ewoks alive.
Could see some new life to some Rebel Commandos. Of course, I think Commandos are definitely going to come into here because of the Special Forces card. The pin one pip, and so that's
where they're from. They're from Endor. They should be in the battle force.
They should. Actually, I was looking at a lot of the art on a lot of units in the Rebels units, and a lot of the art is just like them in Endor, like Leia, Han, R2, of course 3PO, your commandos, and so all their art is from Endor, and so we could see this
too.
Yeah,
Han's sculpt is from Endor. Leia's sculpt is from Endor. Yeah, it's like this is. Which makes sense because that's where they're kind of out there doing ground battles in the original trilogy.
So I think it's going to be a really cool battle force. Ewoks still up for jury because we don't know what their core unit does, but I think they're going to be a lot of fun. I know I'm going to buy into them just because they're Ewoks. Why not? Yeah. And then let's finish this off. We're almost out of time here. Let's just we're going to talk about. These aren't unit releases.
We have pictures of minis. We don't have unit
we're actually
cards.
Let's touch on this kit.
Mm-hmm.
And so May 4th is the start of a new season. So I think AMG is going to start off doing some seasons of your competitive realm, which I like that. And so
I think it could mean a few things, right?
It could.
At the very least, it means, hey, starting May 4th is when you can begin to get invites again for the next Worlds. At a bare minimum, that's what I'm reading into this. If that also means that, hey, they're going to try to do a big balance pass before the new season, then kind of just as needed emergency tweaks in between, I really like that. That's kind of what I would prefer because it kind of sucks when it's like, hey, we've been playing this and then everything changes at the last minute before something like Worlds.
Yeah.
Right? Or, when this happens in Invader League, when we have a big change between maybe even like the first round of elims and the second round of elims, it feels like, hey, why? This doesn't feel cohesive. So if we can have a cohesive season where, hey, this was kind of the state for the whole season, I really like that.
I do too.
If that's what happens.
I think it brings new life to the game. Of course, when you have those big major balance changes, every year, it just brings fresh life, fresh old units that aren't really good. And what we talk a lot about is Pathfinders, So I'd love to see some fresh light in them in Commandos. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping for is that in between the Worlds and May 4th, you'll see that fresh life come out, and then of course minor tweaks, if a Dark Trooper unit came out, to where oh my gosh, this is dominating the meta. Let's okay, let's rein that in a little bit, and then I'd really like to see that.
Well, I also like to see metas evolve, right? So I like to see, hey, maybe initially this is very strong, but then people tech for it and adjust, and then it's not as strong, but then people tech for the new thing, and it kind of moves and evolves. And I like the idea of, hey, it all culminates and comes together with Worlds at the end of the season. So we have Worlds, great. We capped off the season. There's a little bit of a lull. We get a new push, a new breath of life. We scurry out, we figure things out for a few months, and then kind of figure things out as it gets close to Worlds, rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like is like the whole store championships things that you can actually get invites from your local store. And so go into just a local, maybe 1.5 day event that your local store has, and you can get an invite from that. But also like you can get invites from like the bigger tournaments, like an LVO.
So for people who were around before, they'll remember primes, RPQs, regionals, that kind of stuff. From what I'm gathering, some of the terminology, even though it's the same words, it means a little bit different.
A little bit.
And so let's do a quick recap, because there's also people like you, Seth, who started playing kind of right at the pandemic. Yeah. And you didn't get to experience store championships.
Right before. I saw primes, I just didn't know what they were. So.
Yeah, so the store championship was a thing before. There was a store championship before. What I'm gathering is this new store championship is kind of like that plus a regional prime. It's they're probably mostly going to be one-day events at your local store. You could have a few of them in your area, and the only first place gets an invite to Worlds. Which is a pretty cool invite, the one we're looking at now on screen with Emperor Palpatine just hanging out.
It's a little bit cooler than the coaster.
Yeah. And I don't know if they said it for Legion. I know in some of the other game systems it's like double-sided, so you actually get like an alt-art card on the reverse side of your invite. I don't know if that's the thing for Legion, so we'll find out. You'll have to win one to find out. Then we have regionals, which from what I gather are bigger than what regionals were before. Before, regionals were kind of like a superstore championship, so you would still have maybe one per city. In some bigger cities, maybe you would get a couple, or you would get them spaced out. Before, the top player would get an invite to Worlds. Honestly, before, store championships, I don't think really gave invites to Worlds. It was, you would get a bye at your regional, and then the top player would get a invite to Worlds. So now store championships kind of encapsulates all that. And then regionals seems like everything else. So for example, I know some of the bigger tournaments like Nova, that's going to be, from what I understand, a regional. So the top 4 players are getting invites, and I believe the top player gets, they mentioned buys. So we'll find out how many buys you get in the upcoming Worlds. So in Legion, there's not a lot of downside to taking a buy.
Not at all.
So that's a pretty good prize. I don't think there's going to be anything bigger than a regional. If we have regionals giving out 4 invites, that's kind of where we maxed out before. I doubt they're going to do free flights and such. So I think we kind of have these 2 tiers: store championships, which are the more local events that give out 1, and then big events that people are traveling long distances to, like hopefully most of your FLG circuit, but also the Novas, the this, the that, the other things. Those would be regionals getting 4 invites. So keep an eye out for what events are branding themselves as, if they know. We'll probably start getting more information on those as we get closer to May 4th.
Yeah, so. And then also encourage your local store to just like look into this. Try to set a tournament up in your local store. I know that'll gather a lot of traction for the community, and so I think it's a cool tool. Sorry, I can't talk. A cool tool to help the community grow that AMG is giving out to local stores. Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, really happy to see those come back. So what I thought you were going to bring up earlier was some pictures of miniatures, not unit cards. So we can touch on those briefly, but there's not too much we can say. We saw Inquisitors, so
think that's the
Oh
fifth.
man, I can never fifth brother, and I don't know what the
Seventh
other one is
sister.
called. Seventh. That's seventh sister. Okay.
I believe
fifth
so.
brother, seventh
That
sister
could be the
for
ninth,
Empire. They did confirm at the panel that they'll be able to team up and take only one operative slot if you want to do both of them. So you could do them and Vader for triple push and basically nothing else but triple push.
That'd be nuts.
And then we also saw the Bad Batch.
Bad Batch.
From what I see there, they're all unique miniatures. It's probably going to be something like Clan Ren or Inferno Squad, where they all have a special thing they do, but you put them all together in one unit. They are in Rebels and they are in Gar.
Yep.
Unconfirmed. There is some speculation that I think Omega is the name of the girl with them. I haven't seen the show.
That is Omega.
That maybe she would only be available in Rebels, and then I think Crosshair would only be available in Gar. So there's some thoughts about that, as maybe that's how they balance between the two. Hopefully there's something that's a little bit different about them. Otherwise, they're probably going to be balanced for being in the Republic, and then be not as good in Rebels, would be my guess, because Rebels won't have Yoda to guidance them around, or clones or Exemplar to share tokens to them. So if it's the exact same unit ported over, I don't see any ways that they could be not much better in Republic. But that could be a ways out. They're kind of previewing a year ahead of time. I think they might have some more, maybe a little bit here and there. Watch out for May the 4th. I know they have at least a big Shatterpoint reveal that they teased. Maybe there'll be a bit of Legion in there as well. But, don't expect these things to necessarily happen, a month from now.
Yeah, no.
This is a kind of long time horizons.
It does take a process to build a lot and design and get all these printed out.
And we saw Geonosians, which
we did.
As soon as they came up, they look great. I don't play CIS at least yet,
I don't either.
But they look
gives
really
us
cool.
Hope.
For Gungans. We looked at each other and they said, this means if they're doing Geonosians, this means that we could get Gungans. It's the natural next step. Don't try to argue with it. Oh, look at that zoom in and pan that Seth is doing on the shared screen.
Cinematic masterpiece right here.
Yeah, you are a professional. So, yes, that was the other thing. Because I was thinking, wait a second, we missed a faction. So, lots to see coming up. I mean, the things we've seen so far, very spicy. I wouldn't be surprised if, especially now they're settling in, they're designing stuff, they're trying to push the envelope more. And that can be great.
It could.
It can also lead to power creep, like we saw with Dark Troopers, but say what you will, they were trying to, try something new and different. And that is ultimately what keeps Legion exciting. If we just got, core set stuff and they just kept reusing those same keywords in different combinations,
that'd be very boring.
You get pretty stale and boring pretty quick. So I appreciate what they're doing, and again, if they create something busted, hopefully they do fix those in the middle of a competitive season.
And hopefully it's in the faction, the faction that I played.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Perfect. Any closing thoughts from you?
No, not at
Seth?
all. I hope everything's just perfectly balanced no matter what. And I don't want people to come back and say, Gar doesn't deserve this. Nerf Gar. Man, if I hear Nerf Gar one more time, it's going to be sad. I'm going to be sad.
Yeah.
So, no, but I'm super excited just for the direction AMG's going. And also just excited for the game and that we're going to see new life, hopefully in the next month or so. With like some rebalances, whether how small they are or how big they are. I like
Fingers
change,
crossed.
so I hope there is a lot of change, and so, but that's just me, and and then I'm excited to get back some units that I haven't really played before on the table, and so I think
we're talking like it's confirmed for a month out. We don't technically know, but that's kind of what the rumblings sound like. It's going to be a rebalance sooner rather than later.
Before
how big
May
or
4th.
small?
We
don't know. Technically, they haven't even confirmed if it's going to be before May 4th.
Well, no,
that's
they
what
don't.
I would expect.
I think that's what I would expect. The general assumption.
And then it's kind of like getting a whole bunch of new releases at once.
Yes.
Because
Because honestly, like,
Yeah,
we've talked
go
about
ahead.
this before, but like if Blizzard gets nerfed and Darks get nerfed, like the whole meta is kind of open. It's really cool to see. And it's just really, there's a lot of room to experiment because you don't have those gatekeeping lists and builds that are just stopping from other units to shine. And so that's what I'm really excited about, to see other units shine.
Yeah. So hopefully when we come back in a couple weeks, we'll have stories of many units shining in some new ways.
Yeah.
Come on, Cody, we believe.
So next week we have an interview with I won't spoil the guest.
Don't spoil it, but
I think
it's
a lot of
pretty
people kind of know who this person will be. And,
a prolific player.
A prolific.
I'd say their motto is quantity over quality. I would say, yeah.
I would think so.
It's a success story as far as like someone getting a lot of reps and getting a lot better. And I think it'll be a really good conversation about like how you can kind of step up your game to another level, or maybe even a couple levels.
Absolutely. So I'm really keep out for that interview. Keep watch out for that, and then also we just hope that you all stay Gungan this coming up week.
This has been the Bombad Generals.
Listening to Bombad Generals is not scientifically proven to make you a better Legion player. Side effects may include bad dice rolls, missed triggers, aim losses, bankruptcy, divorce, vomiting, and sudden death. Ask your doctor if Bombad Generals is right for you.